It's when, not if. I'm Michael Smerconish in Philadelphia. That's my assessment after watching last night's interview on ABC with President Biden. As I tweeted in real time, I credit George Stephanopoulos for civilly asking the right questions. People will see what they want, but you really can't say, this is reassuring. I'm not sure which was worse, President Biden unsure whether he watched the debate that caused this crisis or lacking the self-awareness to know the impact of that answer. President Biden's withdrawal from the race has an increasing feeling of inevitability. That's because his problem is unfixable. What ails him eventually comes for us all, and when it does, the hands of time cannot be unwound. The reason this is resonating with so many is that we've all been there in our own lives with loved ones. And in the case of a president, the media glare will now chronicle every misstatement, each misstep, including by those outlets that until now were willing to look the other way. Unscripted moments will continue to make news. It's all rather sad and unsustainable. And it didn't have to end this way. The president is the one who decided to seek a second term, which would end with him being age 86. But here we are. The campaign is in a doom loop. In a post-debate CNN survey, more than half of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters said the party has a better shot at the presidency with someone other than Biden. That viewpoint is now shared by members of Congress, editorial boards, donors, and opinion leaders. The Washington Post is reporting that Democratic Senator Mark Warner is attempting to assemble other Democratic senators to ask the president to exit the race. As this cycle repeats itself, with more seeking his withdrawal, fewer unassociated with the president are forcefully pushing back. The increasing weight of opposition to his candidacy has overwhelmed the message of his campaign. Just how bad is it? Well, for once, even Donald Trump realizes that he's best served staying out of the limelight. And so now, on this Saturday, July 6, 2024, the question seems to be when and not if. But this is not necessarily bad news for Democrats. 9 days ago, in real time, during the now infamous debate, I tweeted this: does Donald Trump lose by winning tonight? Does this debate spur a switch to a stronger Democrat with a better chance of beating Trump? In other words, I was saying, be careful what you wish for, Donald Trump. The crisis might produce a more formidable opponent. The question will soon be who and by what means becomes the Democratic nominee. President Biden cannot control his delegates. He cannot mandate that they support Vice President Kamala Harris. But as a practical matter, if he endorses her, she will be the Democratic nominee. But is that in her or the party's best interest? Ultimately, is that in the nation's best interest? The poll question today at Smerconish.com asks, which would make Kamala Harris a stronger Democratic presidential nominee, acclamation or competition? I argue the latter. A Kamala Harris who fights for and earns the Democratic nomination will be sharper and stronger than one who wins by acclamation. She was not a strong candidate when she sought the nomination in 2020. Ironically, her one moment in the spotlight came when she challenged then Vice President Biden for a decades-old position on busing. That and her reversal of her willingness to abolish private health insurance, which she'd signaled when raising her hand in agreement with Bernie Sanders. She dropped out of the race before a single vote was cast, but was nevertheless put back in the VP mix because Biden had said that he would select a female running mate. If the nomination is handed to her, she will remain an untested political commodity. And the first time that she'll be held accountable for the vice presidential assignments she was given, namely tackling the root causes of the border crisis, will be when confronted by Donald Trump. Instead, let's see her on stage now, opposite Gavin Newsom and Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, Amy Klobuchar, Secretary Pete, Andy Beshear, Raphael Warnock, Jared Polis. It's a deep bench, but none of them will step forward if it's handed to Harris. How then will Democrats know that they've mounted the strongest challenge to Donald Trump? Instead, let Harris sharpen her skills in town halls and debates, speeches to state delegations. I don't know, but I strongly suspect that the cable outlets, including this one, would ensure that it all happens in prime time. The Chicago convention, it would be the most exciting political gathering of the modern era. The nation would be enthralled. And if you think it's all undoable, well, just remember this. In the UK, they just staged an entire election in 6 weeks. Democrats have more time than that to field their strongest ticket. But it should come from a contest, not an anointing.